Good morning, everybody. Morning. Much news today. Oh, you. All right. This week has been tech, politicking. Zuckerberg's on fucking blast. Jensen Huang is scrambling. trying to figure out, all this Trump bullshit. Google ruled illegal ad tech monopoly. Yeah, OpenAI doing their usual. But yeah, it's interesting news day, I guess, for tech. So Trump put in tariffs. So Trump administration put in a license for requiring a license for sending chips to China, certain chips, mainly the H20, which Nvidia made specifically for China, which is based off of their old architecture a few years ago. And it's, I think we read it was about 3 times as less powerful as like the H100s. But now you need a license. So Nvidia took like a $5.5 billion charge for inventory. AMD also took like an $800 million one. I think Broadcom was affected. Yeah, so Jensen's now going to Beijing to talk, but at the same time, China or Trump thinks that weighing rules investigations is slowing fraud industry, but they think that Nvidia may have provided DeepSeek with H20 chips when they shouldn't have or something. So, yeah. And we've got Google's legal ad tech monopoly. Google's been taking some shit with Chrome, Android. And then we got the signs of life, potentially. And there's also been a lot of news around Powell. If we have time, we'll cover this. And then there's also a bunch of AI news. You know, Perplexity, potentially. Integrating with Motorola Razr. Interesting. OpenAI might buy Windsurf. And also OpenAI might expand Stargate to the UK if the US one works out. But I was like, okay, bro, fucking first figure out the US, like how you're gonna even pay for it. So yeah. Oh, and then at the end we'll look at the potentially new Ubisoft Battle Royale, which I thought that genre was kind of done, but maybe not. Let's watch this video first, real quick. This video, this seems cool. We've been covering kind of some eVTOL flying cars shit, but 25-minute video. It's kind of long, and also I don't want to just react to a video, I guess. But I think it's interesting because I don't really see the. I see it as a cool like fantasy, but I guess like practicality, like I don't really see it. Besides like whatever helicopters do, but we also have but like helicopters are actually way more useful because they could carry more weight. Anyways, yeah, Warren Buffett did an interview. If we're feeling it, we might watch those at the end. Okay, let's watch. Let's start with the Nvidia CEO visits China after U.S. bars some chip sales, and we covered this yesterday, as well. So let's watch.
Well, let's let's be completely frank. It's very normal for Jensen Huang to go to Beijing. NVIDIA has a sizable footprint in terms of employees in that country. He visits them specifically more than once a year. He's not wearing his leather jacket, according to local media reports.
Like, no leather jacket, guys, no leather jacket, pump the stock. Like, what?
In a suit, and
does that mean he's doing business, in other words? This right here?
Chinese news agency is reporting that he met with the vice premier. So, you know, it's hard to draw a sort of causal link between the news on the license requirement. And that's the basic thing that I want to clarify. The US government is not saying that H20, this chip that NVIDIA designed for the Chinese market, is illegal or that it does not conform to the parameters. What the US government said yesterday is that NVIDIA needs a license. And what we're inferring is that because they opted to do a $5.5 billion write-down on inventory of H20s, they have not yet applied for or are not going to apply for a license. Hence why they had to address on paper the...
Why, though? I mean, this could be their way of like sticking it up to Trump. Like, dude, get like, is that like kind of like get your shit together? Like, you know, like, are you gonna flip flop? Like, what's the point of doing this if you know we're gonna, you know, if you're gonna, yeah, exactly, whipsaw us again? Why would they not do it though? That's interesting. I'm trying to think of like what incentive Jensen and NVIDIA would have not to, and the only thing is to just like not want the government like messing with their stuff, and so it's kind of just a way to like stick it to them. I don't know.
Cost of the inventory on inventory of H20s, they have not yet applied for or are not going to apply for a license. Hence why they had to address on paper the cost of the inventory. So what happens next, who knows? But the timing is timing, Danny.
Ed, can we just talk on air about something you and I were messaging
also,
about?
This guy, I think on stream, we watched an interview. This guy's interviewed Jensen a few times. I think, yeah, he's a good interviewer. I like
yesterday, which is that
Ed Ludlow. Follow him on Twitter.
The U.S. puts H20 export curbs on NVIDIA because the Chinese Communist Party has already advised.
I like how they just like have to call it like the Chinese Communist Party here on Bloomberg or whatever. It's that was funny.
Companies not to buy these chips, and
right,
maybe a little bit different.
But there's a black market. We covered on stream how the black market was like for chips is like pretty big. I don't know if black market's the right word, but like smuggling chips into China's big.
Then how things work in the U.S. When the Chinese Communist Party advises you to do something in China, you do it, or maybe you disappear.
Historically, yes.
Or maybe you disappear.
The Chinese National Development and Reform Commission, and the edict or the advisory that they gave to their domestic technology buyers of NVIDIA's equipment was, we don't think this conforms to rules that largely stem from energy, raw materials, and supply chain composition requirements. But I think it is an advisory. You know, what we know is that very large Chinese technology companies, Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, were the biggest buyers of H20. I think we also know that they built up inventory.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like China's big tech. That makes sense. But those are also the ones who are like also training models and doing AI shit in China.
What we know is that very large Chinese technology companies, Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, were the biggest buyers of H20. I think we also know that they had built up inventory of that technology and already had them. So, you know, now... Yeah,
and that's what we learned with the black market, was that it was actually slowing down because they actually kind of saturated the market and they were like, didn't really need them. And we have to, like, China has its own domestic chip industry, and they're actually, like, performance-wise, it's actually fine, but they use more power. But in China, like, they have plenty of power. Like, it actually doesn't matter. The
accessibility is not there. But I can't remember if we discussed this on the show yesterday. A side effect of this policy from the United States is if they can't use H20, what are the options for those Chinese tech names? Well, Huawei has a very similar AI accelerator. And so inadvertently, China now has this sort of opportunity to champion its domestic option, which those tech companies may well look at.
Totally. Yeah, bro, content. Okay. Okay, let's read now. Meeting with Chinese vice premier and DeepSeek founder come after U.S. claims down on chipmakers' sales to China. I'm just trying to understand, like, what he's, like, yeah, I guess we'll just read. I just don't know what he's doing. I know they just said that, you know, NVIDIA has employees there. He visits several times a year. I was also recalling, like, with all this China stuff, I forgot I've been to China. And the trip was kind of insane just because of my own circumstances, but yeah, I wonder what Jensen's doing. But China's interesting. Okay, NVIDIA chief executive Jensen Huang visited Beijing on Thursday after new curbs from Washington on the U.S. chipmaker's China sales sent its shares tumbling. According to two people familiar with his travel schedule, Huang met NVIDIA clients, including the founder of generative artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek, to discuss new chip designs for Chinese customers. Like, this seems like he's antagonizing Trump. Like, what? What other reason? He then held separate talks with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, according to one person familiar with the meeting. Huang said China was a very important market for NVIDIA and expressed hope that his company could continue co-operating within the country, according to state broadcast CCTV. On Tuesday, NVIDIA said it expected a $5.5 billion hit to earnings from new U.S. exports restrictions on H20 chips, a lower powered model that had already been designed to comply with Joe Biden era controls limiting exports to China. Yeah, it is interesting. Like, there hasn't been much talk about what Biden administration has like put in terms of chips, because they also did something similar. I don't remember exactly, but kind of forgot. Huang's talks indicate that NVIDIA is not willing to give up on the Chinese market and is considering designing yet another chip for it, even though its previous efforts have been banned by Washington. China does provide. We looked at the charts yesterday. Like, NVIDIA gets a good chunk of business from them, but like, it can't be less than the US, and it's definitely more than, it's probably the second most besides the United States. Like, plans for the NVIDIA's chief to visit Beijing were finalized after US President Donald Trump's unexpected move to ban the H20 chip. The group reported $17 billion in sales from China last year, but faces growing threats to its business from Beijing even before Trump interceded. In previous trips to China, Huang has shied away from publicized meetings with high-level officials. Makes sense. According to a person familiar with the matter, Huang's latest visit to China came shortly after the State Council agreed to a meeting request from NVIDIA earlier this week. Okay, but like, the fact that he's also doing this very out in the open, it seems purposeful. Considering that he's always shied away from public meetings, like, Huang met DeepSeek founder Liang Wenfeng in Beijing, two people familiar with the matter with the trip said, to discuss how to design Jesus Christ, I can't read today. How to design next generation chips for China that would meet client needs and regulatory requirements of both the US and China. DeepSeek and NVIDIA investor in January rattled US tech stocks when it unveiled a competitive AI model that achieved similar performance to US rivals but appeared to be trained on a fraction of the cost. Okay, NVIDIA, really, I guess there's like nothing new yet, really, just like NVIDIA's effort to maintain its sales in China comes as the country has been forced to prepare to decouple from the US amid Trump's escalating trade war. The White House has applied additional tariffs of 145% on imports from China, a level that Beijing has matched. In retaliation, China has pushed to build up its domestic semiconductor industry and directed domestic tech companies to buy Huawei's AI chip. It's like you can just like direct industries like, you now have to buy this chip. The Chinese tech champion is working to address difficulties in using its Ascend AI chip for model training, which has left domestic companies reliant on NVIDIA. Huang has called Huawei's China's single most formidable tech company. Yeah, like Huawei's like a mega conglomerate. They do all kinds of shit. Oh hey, St. Just Germany, how you doing? Let's talk about Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO in Beijing. NVIDIA has faced regulatory scrutiny in both Washington and Beijing. China's antitrust regulator in December announced it was probing the company and reviewing if it had violated commitments made to Beijing when seeking approval for the purchase of an Israeli networking company. That was Mellanox, I think, which got approved, at least in the United States. The trip comes as U.S. lawmakers are demanding information from NVIDIA on whether DeepSeek was able to obtain export-controlled chips. NVIDIA declined to comment on Huang's trip. Interesting. Okay, let's then... I guess we don't really learn much from this, if I'm being honest, just besides, like, he's in China. So... Let's read Wall Street Journal first. A bit more nuanced take. U.S. tries to crush China's AI ambition with chips crackdown. Was this morning. Okay. New U.S. chip exports limits that rocked global markets on Wednesday are the clearest sign. Yeah, yet from Trump's White House that whatever advances China makes in AI will have to happen without America's help. It's actually, NVIDIA stock is, I mean, it's taken a beating these past 2 days. Yeah, bro, look at this. Like, gadoosh. And just down from there. Been very sideways. Trump administration officials have signaled for months that they were considering a crackdown on exports of processors from U.S. companies such as NVIDIA that have helped enable major Chinese advances in artificial intelligence. The latest reckoning came this week, with U.S. authorities moving to stop the flow of billions of dollars of NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices, which is AMD, artificial intelligence chips to the country. AMD hasn't been hit as hard because I don't think they're as heavily into like AI in the GPU market, although they have definitely kind of have a similar arc as AMD here, looks like. Oh yeah, here, share price versus index. Yep. ELX Semiconductor, not heard of them. Yeah, it's been rough. The move spurred in part by Chinese AI startup DeepSeek's surprising success in building powerful models with less computing power put an end to NVIDIA's ability to skirt US constraints on sales between tweaking its chips. It's crazy how like DeepSeek just like what DeepSeek was able to do was like the domino for all of this. Oops, sorry. While the changes affect a relatively small portion of the company's business, they squash any hopes of unimpeded future chip sales in China. I just don't understand why Jensen's not applying for the license. Like, that's really what I care about. Like, why is he going to China and publicly meeting with officials after previously he's always not done that? He's always kept it kind of like behind closed doors. And why is he not applying for the license to send chips over to China? Strange. Shares of Nvidia and AMD each dropped around 7% on Wednesday. The broader stock market sagged on news that any hope of a reprieve from the highest reciprocal tariffs imposed on China was short-lived. Also, I cannot get a break on I can't get a break on NVDL. It's like every day it's like down like 6%. It's down 33% 1 month, 58 6 months. NVIDIA chief executive Jensen Huang isn't giving up on China. On Thursday, Chinese state media said Huang arrived in Beijing where he met Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng. I'm definitely not saying the name right, but Huang also met Lian Wenfeng, founder of the celebrated Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek, according to a person familiar with the meeting. The China market is very important to us, Huang said in a video posted by state media, wearing a suit and tie instead of his usual leather jacket. Ooh, you know that means business. The technical excellence of Chinese industry is quite impressive. He also said that NVIDIA's operations had been greatly affected by export restrictions, according to state media. That's honestly probably why he's there. Because NVIDIA does make stuff in China, I'm pretty sure. Like we just said in the Bloomberg video, they have employees there. So I wonder if it's more so about export versus them importing. An NVIDIA spokesperson said the company regularly meets with government leaders to discuss its technology. The new restrictions, which affect NVIDIA's H20 chips and AMD's MI308 products, capped a roughly 2 weeks blitz that created profound market whiplash and underscored the Trump administration's determination to engage China on many fronts. The battle for tech supremacy is set to unfold in much the same way as a trade war, with toughness and a bit of chaos. Yeah. Trump imposed a 145% tariff last week and then exempted processors, smartphones, and other electronics from it days later. On April 9th, the federal government told NVIDIA that it would be subject to new export restrictions. On Monday, NVIDIA said it would build AI supercomputers in Texas, in line with the president's desire to bring semiconductor manufacturing back to American shores. The next day, the company disclosed the new restrictions. Yeah, but like even the TSMC fabs in Arizona, those still have to be sent over to Taiwan to be finished and then imported back to America to then be used. So it's like, even if he does make this in a, I guess like a supercomputer is different, but yeah. Even when you think you're playing by the rules and sacrificing a bit for the team, the rules might change tomorrow and you're going to get hit again, said Scott Lincecum, Vice President of General Economics and Trade Policy at Cato Institute, the libertarian think tank. Yeah, okay. This is not the right people to interview for this, I'm just saying. It's brutal environment for folks who want to spend billions of dollars on a 30-year project. Trump administration officials have increasingly felt that new innovations in AI were driven by inference, which allows AI models to be applied in real-life scenarios. Inference being, training being, you know, like more compute intensive. It's where they actually like make the AI model. Inference being once the AI model is trained and made, then they could deploy it, and then once you like talk to ChatGPT and it gives you an answer back, that's inference. And it uses like less compute than training generally. NVIDIA's H20 had proved to be effective in that work, people from the matter said. In recent weeks, yeah, H20, yeah, because it's effective in inference, likely because it doesn't need as much compute power, so. The administration is facing a deadline in May on how to handle the sales of advanced AI chips globally. Another decision that will shape the industry's future. Meanwhile, it is investigating the sector and other tech products containing semiconductors for national security vulnerabilities as part of its tariff strategy. Yeah, I don't like, clearly they keep setting deadlines, then either not meeting them or extending them or doing something very rash and then undoing it and then setting a longer deadline. Like, clearly they have no strategy or plan. Like, that's what I'm learning. That they thought it would be way easier and it's not. And they didn't really think about the other scenarios, and I don't know. Seems like it's just not a plan. It also seems like it's yeah. Stop using our tools. Publicly, Nvidia has said selling to China helps bring in revenue that it uses to keep its global lead in AI. Privately, has pushed back against any new restrictions, arguing that China has already been able to produce some chips comparable to its H20. The issue said. Here we go. Share of Nvidia's revenue by source. Yeah. I mean, now it's US. We could see in 2022. This is probably when Biden put in some restrictions. And it's been shrinking. But there was one point, like, China was much more anti-Taiwan, which is interesting that Taiwan, because it must be that... Why is it Taiwan? I mean, I know they make chips there, but maybe it's because, like, a lot of their, like Asus, all the, like, third-party graphics manufacturers, maybe they are based out of Taiwan. But even Taiwan, it's like they're very thinning. In the fiscal year ended in January, Nvidia sold around $12 billion of H20s, accounting for about 70% of the company's China sales, according to analysts. So H20s are 70% of their China sales. The other stuff must just be like other random equipment. China's ability to access Nvidia's H20s has been on the radar of US policymakers since the last administration. Officials who realize the value of H20s in AI development had privately discussed how to handle purchases of the chip, the Wall Street Journal had reported. What is this little blue thing right here? Interesting. Such talks continue under the Trump administration and were given added urgency earlier this year when the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek surprised Silicon Valley and Wall Street with its low-cost but powerful models. The emergence of DeepSeek has boosted the adoption of AI models in China, driving the demand for Nvidia's H20 and other chips. Yep, nothing we don't know yet, I guess. During his nomination hearing in January, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that Nvidia chips drove the development of DeepSeek's model, and that such American assistance had to end. Yeah, I just don't like. I just don't know if this is the solution. Because I think we're thinking about typical conservative, though, thinking of the symptoms, not the solution. Like, we need to help the AI companies domestically here more. Like, I don't know. That's, like, realistically what China's advantage is. That they could centralize things. They could control, like, have more control over, like, what companies can use. I know that's, like, what makes them, like, the opposite of America, where it's like the government just we leave it to the markets, but clearly the markets can't race fast enough when we're dealing with a more centralized economy, I guess, or a heavier government hand in the economy. If they're going to compete with us, let them compete, but stop using our tools to compete with us, he said. I'm not going to be very strong on that. Yeah, the problem is, though, we at least now they are dependent on America. Now, if we take away the H20s, what are they going to do? Now it just gives them more reason to invest more in domestic chips. SMIC, Huawei. Like, I don't know. On Wednesday, a new report on DeepSeek from a congressional committee focused on China recommended tightening export controls and boosting funding for the Commerce Department office that oversees them. Yeah, that's what we they actually just talked about that in the in this video. He mentioned that
which is that
they mentioned that's this Commerce Department. I can't remember what the full name is, but changing suppliers. Chinese customers rushed to make purchases, anticipating a ban would come soon. In the first 3 months of this year, Nvidia received around $18 billion of orders for servers and modules equipped with the H20, a higher value of orders than Nvidia's total revenue from China during the last fiscal year. Holy shit. This has definitely been a trend elsewhere, though. Just like everyone rushing to ship phones, or not phones. I guess Apple was like doing it with iPhones, but people are like rushing to ship things in or out or wherever before the tariffs go into effect, or like they actually get hit. But then it's just like Trump administration's like, oh, actually no, those things that you like paid a bunch of money probably to super rush, like those are actually exempt now. It's like, bro. The biggest buyer were Chinese cloud computing companies such as Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, people said. If the US doesn't grant any exemptions, the move would cut off an important source of computing power used by Chinese companies and research houses, and could increase demand for local substitutes. Yes. There's like some law in manufacturing where it's like the more you manufacture, after you manufacture a certain amount of the thing, you become better and like more efficient. Like that's what's going to happen, is like they're going to just start making more local chips, which then they're going to learn more, which will make them more efficient, and so forth and so on. Chinese cloud service providers originally planned to source 50% of AI accelerator demand in 2025 using H20 processors. It would now likely turn to Huawei and Cambricorn AI chips. Analysts from Citigroup wrote in a report Wednesday. Cambricorn, I've not heard of these guys. I like this font. Builds core processor chips using field artificial intelligence. It has been compared to Nvidia due to their similar focus. When were they created? 2016. Interesting. Yeah, he was like I mean, blue and white sometimes just like kind of seems like this. It kind of feels cheap. I don't know why. Beijing has pushed for the development of its own chip industry independent of US technology, encouraging wider adoption of domestic substitutes. Yeah. Nvidia said it would take charge of around $5.5 billion in its first quarter, ended in April because of the new restrictions. AMD expect charges up to $800 million. Yeah, these are like, seems like just their inventory not being sold. So like, I think there's like a way in accounting that like when you have inventory, it's technically going to be sold. So you could like, there's a way to share like that information or like in your books. And so now they like weren't able to sell this. So they have to like take this charge, I guess, which like undoes things, I'm assuming. I think that's how it works. Something similar to that. I don't know. Shares of ASML fell after the market maker of the equipment needed to make semiconductor. That sentence is so bad. ASML makes the equipment that is needed to make semiconductors, and they reported weak quarterly earnings and said tariffs were fueling uncertainty. That's it? Oh, that's how they ended it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, essentially, still nothing on like what Jensen's like doing there, I guess. I don't think we're going to read this. This one does seem like more in depth. Let's just read this. It's a cool picture. It's like DeepSeek, which is like a whale, but it's being like harpooned and like digital bits are coming out of it. Like that's actually sick. 2 months after DeepSeek, China's artificial intelligence star rattled Washington and shook Wall Street, U.S. officials are taking steps to crack down on the Chinese startup and its support for America's leading chipmaker, NVIDIA. The Trump administration this week moved to restrict NVIDIA's sale on AI chips to China. It is also weighing penalties that would block DeepSeek from buying U.S. technology and debating barring American access to its services, said 3 people with the knowledge of actions who spoke on the conditions of anonymity. Congressional leaders are also putting pressure on NVIDIA. On Wednesday, the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, which focuses on national security threats from China, opened an investigation into NVIDIA's sale of chips across Asia. It is trying to assess whether the U.S. chip makers knowingly provided DeepSeek with critical technology to develop AI. Yeah. Potentially in violation of its U.S. rules. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's not even that much money if NVIDIA did. Is the first congressional investigation into NVIDIA's business. It comes as the Trump administration wrestles with how to carry out a Biden-era rule that limits the number of AI chips that companies can send to different countries. The attack on DeepSeek and NVIDIA are an outgrowth of fear in Washington that China could leapfrog the United States in AI, which would have wide-ranging implications for national security and geopolitics. Yeah. I mean, I think there is some weight into saying that they possibly are already, or that they're just very close behind. I think they're actually close behind. I think OpenAI is kind of our hope, like our only hope in terms of like being the largest and always in the lead. Like, unfortunately, it's like yeah. I'm also thinking about the AI 2027 report that we looked at on stream. They said that China is always 3 to 6 months behind of OpenAI, of like the American leading AI company, which is OpenAI right now, arguably. Maybe Google. Maybe Meta. I don't know. OpenAI is like definitely like. Actually, I really don't know. I feel like all the new model releases are kind of subjective at this point. Like they're just very incremental. Like it's kind of just marketing. So I don't even know. Like Google, Meta, OpenAI, I would say are like top 3. Anthropic's up there, but like they don't release like models. They don't release like as much stuff. I don't know. I just don't think they're up there right now. They're like probably the next like step behind. It also could persuade other countries to use its technology for if China took the lead, it could more quickly use AI systems to design next generation weapons like autonomous missiles and drones. It also could persuade other countries to use its technology for their network of AI systems and infrastructure, weakening US influence across the world. This is already happening, and especially if we think about kind of the American soft power that we've kind of been used to influence. In Trump slashing a lot of that and also making enemies with a lot of countries with the tariffs. And China has been heavily investing in places like Africa and like rail lines and other like emerging economies. They've been doing it just as much as we are too. Arguably, they've been, they're doing their own strategy. Now, China is kind of like Russia, where it's like they're like a little bit like they're authoritarian, not a little bit, I shouldn't say, but like Russia, and Xi Jinping's I'm never gonna be able to go to China again. I just keep thinking about it. I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to go to China again. He's arguably a dictator. He's like, there's no democratic process for electing him, or if there is, it's just like a show. Same with Russia, with Putin. And so I guess the friends that they make are likely similar. Yeah, I don't know. But it kind of sucks because, like, arguably we're kind of going down that route right now with Trump, and it's like, you know, at least we still have a democracy, like, for now. If you could even call what he is doing democratic, I don't even know. Anyways. Huang Kitchen, what a interesting name. A senior fellow of the American Enterprise Institute who focuses on national security and technology, said the United States strategy with AI has been use its current lead in making AI chips and systems to persuade countries to ally with it. Why would someone want to ally with us now, though? Jeez. The competition between Washington and Beijing for technological supremacy has scrambled the semiconductor business in the wake of the Trump administration's crackdown on chip sales to China this week. NVIDIA and other chip makers, Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, said they would lose billions of dollars in sales. ASML, holding the Dutch company whose machines are essential for manufacturing the most advanced semiconductors, said on Wednesday that orders of its equipment had fallen short of expectations. On Wednesday, shares of NVIDIA, AMD, and ASML fell more than 6%. NVIDIA spokesperson John Rizzo said the company followed the U.S. government directions on what products it could sell and where it could sell them to the letter. NVIDIA protects and enhances national security by creating U.S. jobs and infrastructure, promoting U.S. technology leadership, bringing billions of dollars tax revenue to the U.S. Treasury, and alleviating the mass U.S. trade deficit. Yeah, he's like, okay, like, you're coming after us, and, like, we're kind of like you're our only option. Like, we're your only option. NVIDIA to the government. What is NVIDIA's effective tax rate? %13%. So, I mean, NVIDIA still paid less taxes than most American people. So, I mean, I don't know. There's also that. So, I mean, I don't know. Okay, anyways. In January, DeepSeek jolted the tech industry after the release of a new AI system, DeepSeek V3, which it claimed to have trained for $6 million, roughly a tenth of what the US companies were spending. The low-cost system challenged the industry's consensus that bigger and better AI systems would be built by companies that spent the most on chips and data centers. Shares of NVIDIA, which control the AI chip market, plummeted 17% in a single day, reducing its market valuation by $600 billion. DeepSeek claims sent everyone through the roof because it showed... I swear it was like DeepSeek R2, not V3. Yeah, DeepSeek claims to enter through the roof because it showed there were one moment away from the centerpiece of American policy being undermined. At a conference with industry executives in Washington in March, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who oversees U.S. technology controls, said the Trump administration would pursue a dramatic increase in enforcement of U.S. tech restrictions on China, including imposing fines on companies. We've had enough of people trying to make a dollar supporting the people who seek to destroy our way of life. Okay, I don't know. That might be a little much. Last week, Mr. Lutnick made good on his promise. The Commerce Department notified NVIDIA of new restrictions on its sale of AI chips to China. This limit means NVIDIA will need a license to sell a chip they specifically made for China, the H20. The company had developed that chip by modifying the abilities of a leading AI chip, the H100. Yep. To comply with Biden administration's performance thresholds on sales to China. Okay, this is a long-ass article. We like, haven't even learned anything new, though. I feel like we haven't even learned anything new across all three of these articles. Okay, looks like there's something new down here. The crackdown of NVIDIA came after the White House... After White House and Commerce Department officials received briefings in recent weeks about the national security risk posed by DeepSeek. The briefings included details about the ties that some of its researchers have to the People's Liberation Army and other institutes in China, sanctioned for aiding the Chinese military, a person familiar with the conversation said. The findings, which are compiled by this company, a data analytics firm, and reviewed by the New York Times, showed that dozens of DeepSeek researchers have or previously had affiliations with PLA laboratories or defense institutions in China. Wow, what is PLA laboratories? People's Liberation Army? It has to be People's Liberation Army. Yeah. That's crazy, though. They had worked with groups that included an institute that develops and tests China's nuclear weapons, universities known as the Seven Sons of National Defense. What the fuck? And organizations barred from buying American technology by the US government. It is common for private companies in China to have close ties to state-backed industries and created technology for state-funded projects. But the research indicates that DeepSeek, which claims to be a private company not linked with the state, has closer ties with the Chinese military and government than previously understood, said Kit Conklin, a senior vice president at Exiger, who wrote the report. DeepSeek did not respond for requests to comment. In February, the Congressional Committee on China began work on a separate report seeking to explain how DeepSeek made its technological leap. It cited estimates by Semi-Analysis. Yeah, that's where I have got a lot of my information from. A semiconductor research firm, ran by Dylan Patel. Great in-depth semiconductor data center analyses. That DeepSeek has access to 60,000 NVIDIA chips, including 20,000 that have been restricted from China. Yes, but bro, we've already talked about that was black market. Obviously they're smuggling. That's inevitable. The committee said that DeepSeek and other Chinese AI companies may have circumvented US restrictions on buying NVIDIA chips by purchasing them through intermediaries in Singapore. That too. It cited reports by Reuters in February that Singaporean authorities arrested 3 people for illegally exporting advanced NVIDIA chips to DeepSeek in China. Holy shit, and Singapore's enforcing this. The letter opening its investigation into China, or into NVIDIA, the committee asked the company to provide details about every customer from 11 Asian countries, including Malaysia and Singapore, who purchased 500 AI chips or more since 2020. It also asked details about the companies who were expected to use those chips. Do they even have that? Can the government even ask that? If we're talking about privacy, bro, and that was I was literally there's a story. Yes. Why do you think Europe's customers want to leave US big tech? This is exactly the reason, bro. The committee has subpoena power and expects NVIDIA to provide responses within 2 weeks, said a committee official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. It typically spends more than 4 months on an investigation before generating a report on an issue and calling a hearing, which it may do with NVIDIA. We'd definitely cover that if it did. The investigation comes as the Trump administration evaluates a proposed government rule to provide more oversight over NVIDIA's global chip sales. The Biden administration's rule, which Mr. Lutnick and other Trump officials are reviewing, would dictate where AI chips could be shipped and require more disclosure about the customers using American technology. Tech companies have protested the rule, saying that they threaten sales and U.S. technology influence around the world. In a statement, Representative John Moulinar, a Michigan Republican and the committee's chair, said that DeepSeek's use of NVIDIA chips could be considered a national security failure. U.S. companies should not enable a hostile regime's drive to dominate AI and challenge the free world, he said. I just can't tell if this is like legit or they're just like over exaggerating. I just also think that like we want like the government should want good rapport with NVIDIA. Like NVIDIA has previously said that its record of revenue from Singapore does not indicate diversion to China, and it is a result of its practice of reporting the country where purchases are made, not necessarily where the chips are shipped. That's fair. Yeah, I wonder if what other companies do. We insist that our partners comply with all applicable laws, and if we receive any information to the contrary, act accordingly, John Rizzo, an NVIDIA spokesman said in January's statement. The congressional report also found that DeepSeek used data from OpenAI to accelerate the development of the Chinese company's AI systems. In a memo from OpenAI to the committee, which was reviewed by the New York Times, OpenAI and DeepSeek employees had bypassed guardrails meant to prevent that kind of data harvesting. Oh, wait. DeepSeek had used data from OpenAI to accelerate the development. Okay, so is this new? I feel like it was only theorized that they were using like OpenAI to train DeepSeek. Using data from one AI system to build another, a technique called distillation is common, but if a company takes data from proprietary technology, the practice could be illegal. Okay, but that's like OpenAI is literally stealing, doing like breaking copyright shit right now. Like, New York Times has sued OpenAI, claiming copyright infringement and news content related to AI systems. OpenAI has denied the claims. OpenAI called on Congress to, quote, safeguard U.S. technological leadership. I just wonder what that means, though. Safeguard technological leadership. How? Okay, I guess we'll see in the next, like, few days. I'm not going to stream tomorrow, likely, but we'll see what Jensen's actual intentions of going to China are. I hope. I'm very curious. So, okay, let's cover Google being an illegal monopoly. Okay, Google's dominance of online advertising and ad tech markets violates U.S. antitrust laws, a federal court ruled Thursday, in a decision that could scramble the massive digital ad universe. So I guess the big thing here is, if we think about Google has, everything is built on the backs of them being able to advertise on something. Most of their things are free. Most of their stuff's free. We have Google Docs, which is, spreadsheets. It's word processing. It's like, PowerPoint. It's a slideshow. We have, Google Drive, which is free to an extent. We have Gmail, which is free. You could obviously pay for Google Drive. You have YouTube, which is built on advertising. You could pay YouTube Premium. But for the most part, it's all ad driven. Google Search is ad driven. They have Google Cloud, which actually isn't ad driven, but essentially they're an advertising company. We just looked the other day how much of Google's revenue is advertising. Look, ads. And then YouTube ads, Google network ads. It's like Google subscription and platforms. It's like, and this is grouped in with like their devices, but it's like, no, not even close. Yeah, it's like 70% still. Like Google Cloud makes like no money. It's crazy compared to the advertising. So anyways, this isn't surprising, I guess, is the point. They also and also Google Chrome. We forgot about Google Chrome. That might not be a direct advertising, but it's a way for them to make Google the default for everything that they use, which in turn drives them to view ads. So yes, and they've already been ruled the search monopoly. So it's a second major recent antitrust loss for Google after a different court ruled last year that Giant had abused its dominance of the search market online. So what they're doing with this is that they were just paying the likes of Safari, Apple, Firefox, like I think even Discord. They have like when you right click, you like search with Google. Google's paying to have that there. And so they're paying to be the default, but it's like they could only like there's emails that came out with Apple about like they were literally paying like $30 billion. Like they were literally paying as much as they were making on like their entire Google Cloud or their entire Google network ads to be default in like Safari. And like that is insane, which is like that's clearly, you know, like market you're just paying your way. You know, it's like I don't know if it's market manipulation, that's not the right word, but you can't compete, I guess, is the whole point. You know, it's like as someone else. So, and though they've also taken a hit with Android by Tim Sweeney, shout out. But the federal government and 17 states who brought the suit seek to force Google to sell off its network ad business, which sells ads on other publishers' inventory. Like, I don't know how this would even work out because Google is an ad company. Like it's just like that accounts for roughly 12% of Apple's overall business, Alphabet's overall business. So it must be only okay. Wait, we could decipher. It must just be this about then, because it's not all of this. Google argues spinning it out would actually hurt publishers because it would force them to buy ads through more expensive rival networks. Wait, what? That logic there is... It would force them to buy ads through more expensive rival networks. They're like, yeah, we're cheaper. But it's like, you're cheaper because because you have a monopoly, though. Like, maybe once, you know, the market is able to compete better, that prices could actually come down. Because the other people will be making more money, so they could use that to improve the product in turn and make it, you know, between the lines. Forcing Google to give up its ad tech arm would be punitive, but it wouldn't fundamentally change Google's business. So it's just the ad technology arm then specifically. The company will make mountains of money selling ads alongside its own YouTube videos and search results. It still makes mountains. Okay, so this is different. Yes, but a forced divestiture would almost certainly impact Google's top line enough to force it to recalibrate its spending on new areas of investment, such as AI and cloud businesses. Google largely relies on ad revenue to fuel its new bets, because they just make so much money from it. Like... The ruling means that the judge will move into a phase in the trial that considers what sort of penalties or remedies to impose. The search case is now in that phase as well. The government is seeking to force Google to divest its Chrome search engine. Bro, it's Chrome browser. Chrome isn't a search engine. Who wrote this? Excuse me. God, come on, you let this pass? It's also possible Google will be forced to give up its lucrative search partnership deals with device makers like Apple as a result of that case. 100%. This should be the one thing. If anything, it should be this. Selling Chrome is a lot more complicated, and like that. Yeah, I just don't know about that one, but having these exclusive partnership deals, like that should just be. I think they should end that. What they're saying: Google has violated Section 2 of the Sherman Act by willfully acquiring and maintaining monopoly power in the open web display publisher, ad server market, Jesus Christ, and the open web displaying ad exchange market, and has unlawfully tied its publishers' ad server, DFP, and ad exchanges in violation of Section 1 and 2 of the Sherman Act. Judge Leonie Brinkema, that's an interesting last name, of the U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Virginia, ruled in a 115-page opinion. Okay, interesting. All right, let's look at TechCrunch commentary. Opening door up to potential breakup. Federal judge found Google has violated antitrust laws by willfully acquiring and maintaining monopoly power in the advertising technology market, rounding out a 2-year saga after the U.S. and 8 states filed its initial complaints against the Alphabet-owned company. The court will set a briefing schedule and hearing date to determine appropriate remedies for the antitrust violations for a Thursday filing. The remedies include forcing Google to break up its advertising business, like selling its Google Ad Manager, which includes the AdX, Ad Exchange, and DFP. DoubleClick for publishers. Oh, DoubleClick. Okay. DoubleClick, Google bought this company a long time ago, and it's been the underpinning of their ad tech business. The ad server used for publishers. Or the courts could force behavioral remedies that would allow Google to keep its business intact, but would impose restrictions to ensure fair competition, like prohibiting Google from prioritizing its own exchange or demand and auction. And I think this is probably what's going to happen. And I think it's like... it's probably like what should happen too. I think like divesting away from things is just a lot more complicated, and like it just never ends up like working out, or like I don't know, I just feel like there's too much that they could just like do to too much that Google could do to just like fuck with like them like wanting to sell that. I think this like making like I actually don't know, if I'm being honest, actually. Like, this seems like it'd just be better. Like Google could keep their shit. It's not, like, destroying the company or, like, changing, everything. Like, I do think their AI stuff's, like, kind of important. And this could, like, maybe change their behavior in general. Because, like, there's been other challenges of them, like, prioritizing their own products and such, which is like shit. That's not cool. In a separate antitrust case, the federal judge last year found that Google illegally monopolized the general internet search market. The judge has not yet issued remedies on that case, but is expected to do so in mid-2025. In the ad tech case, Judge Brinkema wrote in her memorandum opinion that plaintiffs failed to prove that the open web display advertiser ad networks are relevant market where Google has monopoly power. The wording here is so confusing. These networks help advertisers buy display ads across the open web, so outside of closed ecosystems like Facebook, Instagram, and Google Search. I see. Because this is probably like I could throw ads on my website and then like someone could bid on those ads. The judge did agree that Google violated the Sherman Act by monopolizing the unlawfully tying. Oh, wait, so are they saying that they didn't, that they are not a monopoly on open web display advertising networks? That's what I'm actually reading here. And that they did agree that Google violated the Sherman Act by monopolizing the unlawfully tying two parts of the ad tech stack together, specifically DFP and AdX. Ah, I see. And that Google is guilty of abuse of monopoly power in the publisher side ad tech. Okay. Interesting. Okay. It makes a little more sense, but this is like super niche, I guess. It's not like public. Yeah, it's like very niche. Interesting. Rivian's non-Amazon van customers at HelloFresh. Dude, I want one of these vans so bad, if I'm being honest. I was like, how can I get like an aftermarket Amazon van? $70. Meal kit company HelloFresh has added 70 all-electric Rivian vans to its fleet, the first major customer to buy the commercial EVs since the automaker ended its exclusive deal with Amazon. Oh, they ended their exclusive deal? I didn't realize that. Oh, so they have to be selling these individually. I wonder how much they cost. As of February, Amazon had 20,000 commercial vans produced by Rivian's fleet. Holy shit, bro. They've made 20,000? Rivian's been spotted performing a number of trials with potential fleet customers. However, HelloFresh is the first publicly declare itself a customer and incorporate new vans into a fleet. What is a Rivian stock? I forgot they're public, right? I started typing public. Their stock, oh god, it does not seem like it's good. They definitely didn't IPO at like tens of dollars. Bro, Yahoo Finance has been taking forever to load. Holy shit. You're down 89% since IPO. That's crazy, actually. Do they have any profit? The fact that they don't have a PE ratio makes me think that they don't. Profit margin, negative 95%. Dang, they're all hold. I guess more buy than sell, though. I mean, like, what are you going to sell at this point? Interesting. All right. I think there's not much, honestly, much more to report on the Google thing. Let's cover this. I need to actually use the restroom. Step away 2 seconds, and we'll be back, and we'll cover this. And then, maybe some OpenAI news. I kind of want to, like, I have this game story, and I kind of want to cover some fun stories, if I'm being honest. So, we'll come back. We'll cover some more, lighthearted stories. BRB. Scientists find strongest evidence yet of life on a distant planet. All right. This I feel like we get these a lot. Not a lot, but we get these every once in a while. It's like, oh, there's life on this planet, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, we might found, like, this thing. So I'm curious to see what it is, actually. Scientists have found new but tentative evidence that a faraway world orbiting another star may be home to life. Also, shout out Will. Friend Will. Got this article from him. A Cambridge team studying the atmosphere of a planet called K2-18b has detected signs of molecules which on Earth are only produced by simple organisms. It's actually insane to think that we're studying this planet, which is however many light years away, and we're like, oh yeah, we know the molecules. I wonder what a simple organism is considered, like just a cell, like a single cell. This is the second and more promising time chemicals associated with life has been detected on the planet, in planet's atmosphere by NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. Yeah, and the James Webb Space Telescope has been fucking so good. I hope we're like starting at the next one already. So by the time James Webb Space Telescope is time is up, we have another one. I mean, like, we should just send up more in general, like, if I'm being honest. But actually, Trump cut a lot of NASA science funding, unfortunately. Which is insane. It's just so backwards. Like, it's crazy. Like, you're racing with China, then we need to fucking invest in technology and research and space and, like... Yeah. But the team and independent astronomers stress that more data is needed to confirm these results. Okay, I mean, like... Yeah, okay, anyways. The lead researcher, Professor Niku Madhusudan, I am so sorry. I've read so many names since I started streaming and like reading articles, and I'm still horrible at it. I need like a pronunciation, like last name and name pronunciation, like class to help me be like improve. Told me at his lab at Cambridge University Institute of Astronomy that he hopes to obtain the clinching evidence soon. This is the strongest evidence that there is possibly life out there. I can realistically say that we can confirm the signal within 1 to 2 years. It's gonna take 1 to 2 years to confirm it. Like, shit. Okay, let's watch this video. Seems like it's related to this.
K2-18b is 2.5 times the size of Earth, and it's 700 trillion miles away. The James Webb Space Telescope
Audio
is so powerful it can analyze the chemical composition of the atmosphere from the light that passes through it from the small red star it orbits. Its chemical signature seems to suggest that it contains molecules which on Earth can only be produced by living organisms, and it's such a strong signal that if it is home to life, it's plentiful. K2-18b is thought to be a water world covered entirely by a vast ocean, and the evidence is growing that it may be teeming with life.
I kind of zoned out, but interesting. Let's just read. K18b is 2.5 times the size of Earth, is 700 trillion miles away, or 124 light years. 124 light years. So the light we're what what am I trying to what spectrum of light are they using to look at this, I guess? If it's 124 light years away, we could be like, that planet could like it could have fucking like dinosaurs by now. I guess like the light, it takes light a very long time to travel. Like it travels, like it takes us like, you know, light like 10 minutes to get from the sun to Earth. Now imagine over 700 trillion miles. Like we're seeing in the past when we look at this planet. Depending, I don't know how the different spectrums of light like are travel, but like at least like the visuals, the visible spectrum, the human eyes travel, you know, slower. I think the further you go, the you know, the shorter the wavelength is or something, so the faster it travels, like something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to remember back to physics. So like it's interesting knowing that like this could be they could be further along than we're seeing, maybe. A distance far beyond that what any human could travel in a lifetime. Yeah. James Webb Space Telescope is so powerful that it can analyze the chemical composition of the planet's atmosphere from the light that passes through the small red sun it orbits. The Cambridge group has found that the atmosphere seems to contain the chemical signature of at least one of two molecules that are associated with life: dimethyl sulfide and dimethyl disulfide. On Earth, these gases are produced by maritime phytoplankton and bacteria. Okay, so that's what they mean by like simple organisms. Interesting. And I imagine like phytoplankton and like bacteria, I mean they've like existed as a long, like for a long time in terms of like age. Phytoplankton form the base of marine and freshwater food webs and are key players in the global carbon cycle. They account for about half of the global photosynthetic activity and at least half of the oxygen produced, despite being only about 1% of global plant mass. What the fuck? Half of global photosynthetic activity and at least half of oxygen production. Holy shit. They obtain their energy through photosynthesis as trees and other plants do on land. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. I didn't really connect that. Yeah, these are like in the water and they still photosynthesize. This means phytoplankton must have light from the sun, so they live in the well-lit surface layers. Is this what like fucking like? No, they eat like krill, like whales. Don't they eat like plankton or like some shit? I think they eat like krill or some other. I don't know actually. Ocean and lakes. In comparison with terrestrial plants, phytoplankton are distributed over a larger surface area and are exposed to less seasonal variations and have markedly faster turnover rates than trees, days versus decades. Oh, so they die and like are created within days. As a result, phytoplankton respond rapidly on a global scale to climate variations. Holy shit. They're very diverse, comprising photosynthetic bacteria, are too small to be individually seen with the unaided eye. However, when present in high enough numbers, some varieties may be noticeable as colored patches on the water surface due to the presence of chlorophyll within their cells and accessory pigments. I want to see like how old they are. I know what I'm looking at. Interesting. They have a role. Similarity in phytoplankton's elemental composition to the majority of the. All right, I'm just gonna read this entire Wikipedia article. It's actually really interesting. I don't know. This is interesting. "5,000 known species of marine phytoplankton. Diversity evolved despite scarce resources, restricting niche differentiation." Okay. So that's what could be on that planet, I guess. Professor Madhusudahan said that he was surprised by how much gas was apparently detected during a single observation window. The amount we estimate of this gas in the atmosphere is thousands of times higher than we would have on Earth. Wow. So if the association with life is real, then this planet will be teeming with life. He added. Professor Madhusudahan. I'm going to call him Professor M. If we confirm that there is life on K218b, it should basically confirm that life is very common in the galaxy. Okay, that's like... that's a huge jump. He told BBC Radio 5 Live on Thursday, "This is a very important moment in science, but also very important to us as a species. If there's one example in the universe being infinite, there's a chance for life on many more planets." And I guess like in the vastness of space, this may be like common. I guess I could see that understanding. Dr. Subir Sarkar, a lecturer in astrophysics at Cardiff University and part of the research team, said the research suggested that K218b could have an ocean. Yeah, and that's what it seems like this means with the gas, because that's where photoplankton would live. If the gas they're seeing is emitted by those are bacteria, which also likely in turns means that there's other life, I guess, because like we've always looked for water to find life. Which could be potentially full of life. Though he cautioned scientists, we don't know for sure. He added that the research team's work will continue to focus on looking for life on other planets. Keep watching this space. There are lots of ifs and buts at this stage, said Professor M's team freely admits. Yeah. Firstly, this latest detection is not at the standard required to claim a discovery. I see. For that, the researchers need to be at about... How many nines is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 nines. They gotta be sure to the level of 5 nines. Sure that their results are correct and not a fluke in reading. In scientific jargon, that is 5 sigma result. 5 9, or we call it like 5 nines in like, IT, like tech. Latest results are only 3 sigma, or 99.7. Yeah, that's actually not... Like, that's actually far off from 5 nines. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it's not enough to convince the scientific community. However, it is much more than 1 sigma result of 68% the team obtained 18 months ago. Okay, that's interesting. So, like, it's at least, like, in the right direction, which is greeted with much skepticism at the time. But even if the Cambridge team obtains 5 sigma results, that won't be conclusive proof that life exists on the planet. According to Professor Catherine Hemans of Edinburgh University in Scotland, Astronomer Royal. Scotland's Astronomer Royal. It's like a title, who is independent of the research team. Okay, so third-party analysis, that's in other words. Even with that certainty, there's still the question of what is the origin of this gas. She told it BBC News. On Earth, it is produced by microorganisms in the ocean, but even with perfect data, we can't say for sure that this is of a biological origin on an alien world, because loads of strange things happen in the universe, and we don't know what other geological activity could be happening on this planet that might produce the molecules. But can we then look at what on Earth at least, or where else we've seen in the universe where like we've seen this gas being emitted geologically? Like, it seems like that'd be kind of like easy cross out. That view is one of the Cambridge teams agree with. They are working with other groups to see if DMS and DMDS can be produced by non-living means in the lab. There's still a 0.3% chance that it might be statistical fluke. Hey, I mean, a chance nonetheless. Suggesting that life may exist on another planet was a big claim if true. That's like that show, Big If True. He told BBC Radio 4's Today program, adding, so we want to be really, really thorough and make more observations and get the evidence to the level that there is less than 1 in a million chance of it being a fluke. Yeah. I guess 0.3% isn't less than 1 in a million yet. He said this should be possible in maybe 1 or 2 years. I wonder if they need to collect more data or if they just need to analyze it more, like what they need to do to confirm that. Make more observations, I guess it says, so maybe getting more evidence. Other research groups have put forward alternatives, lifeless explanation for the data obtained from K2-18b. So, yeah, so an explanation that doesn't involve there being extraterrestrial life. There's strong scientific debate not only about whether DMS and DMDS are present, but also the planet's composition. The reason many researchers infer that the planet has a vast liquid ocean is that absence of the gas ammonia in K2-18b's atmosphere. Their theory is that the ammonia is absorbed by a vast body of water below. Interesting. So it's like below the atmosphere or below ground. But it could equally be explained by the ocean of molten rock, which could preclude life, according to Professor Oliver Shortall of Cambridge University. Do they not talk about how like the what they're seeing is like old, or everything we know about planets orbiting other stars comes from the tiny amounts of light that glance off of their atmospheres, so it's an incredibly tenuous signal that we are having to read, not only for signs of life but everything else, he said. With K2-18b, part of the scientific debate is still about the structure of the planet. Interesting. Dr. Nicholas Wogan at NASA Ames Research Center has yet another interpretation of the data. He published research suggesting that K2-18b is a mini gas giant with no surface. A mini gas giant. So just a gas planet, maybe? Not a mini gas giant? No surface. That's interesting. I don't understand how like that a gas like how that works. Can you just like fly straight through the planet? There's no surface? Is it just like a molten core center or some shit? Like how'd that even work? I know Jupiter is a gas giant, but like both these alternative interpretations have also been challenged by other groups on the grounds that they are inconsistent with the data from JWST, compounding the strong scientific debate surrounding K2-18b. Interesting. So there's a lot of debate on this, actually. Surprising. Both these alternative interpretations have also been challenged by other groups on the grounds that they're inconsistent with the data from JWST, compounding the strong scientific debate around K2-18b. Professor Chris Lintott, presenter of the BBC's The Sky at Night, said he had great admiration for Professor M's team, but is treating the research with caution. I think that's like generally. Like, anyone claiming that there's like extraterrestrial life, like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, you got to make sure. I think we've got to be very careful about claiming that this is a moment on the search to life. We had such moments before, he told Today. He said the research should be seen instead as part of a huge effort to try and understand what is out there in the cosmos. Professor M acknowledges that there is still a scientific mountain to climb if he is to answer one of the biggest questions in science, but he believes he and his team are on the right track. Decades from now, we may look back at this point in time and recognize it was when the living universe came within reach. He said, this could be the tipping point where suddenly the fundamental question of whether we're alone in the universe is one we're capable of answering. The research is published in the Astrophysical Journal Letters. Interesting. Got the James Webb Space Telescope here. All right. Is there something out there? Okay, let's cover this. Exclusive. Ubisoft is developing a new battle royale heavily inspired by Apex Legends. Apex, I hate Apex. I also think it's kind of like, I don't like the like heroes. I don't like abilities. I think it's too much to like deal with, I guess. I just don't like battle royales in general. So, I don't know. I'm actually reading this Oblivion. I didn't realize that. Insider Gaming has learned that Ubisoft is currently developing a new battle royale game that's heavily inspired by Apex Legends. And there is also something to say, like, the game companies are chasing these live service games. They're like infinitely updated games. They're always online. You could have battle passes every few months that people buy. You have like loot boxes people could buy. Like, the game's free, but they make money by microtransactions and shit. Like, they are so lucrative. We've covered on the past here in the stream, Sony with their Concord. It was gonna, be a FPS, like live service, or not, I don't know if, or first person, but a shooter live service kind of game, and they failed, but they literally said that they're gonna keep trying because it's the monetary, like, how much money they'll make out of it, and I'm paraphrasing, but how much money they're gonna make will be worth it once they actually, like, get a big hit. Like, that's literally how lucrative they are. There's been we also, I can't remember, but there's another live service kind of commentary thing where like EA or someone, like, they're just, again, in EA's Apex Legends, they're just sharing how lucrative these live service games are, and like that's what they want. There's a meme that friends posted in the Discord. Oh yeah, Marathon. People are kind of like, this is I'm gonna steal this meme from my friend. How do you open a Discord? Oh, here we go. It's like, died in 2024, born in 2025. Welcome back, Corpo Shooter. I'm getting. I'm Marathon is just gonna. I just don't like the extraction shooter, the looter. They're not looter shooter, extraction shooter. Looter shooters are actually way more fun, like Deep Rock Galactic, Destiny 2, which is like fucking Bungie. Extraction shooters in battle royales, I don't like. Battle royales, it's definitely more than extraction shooter because battle royale has an end goal of like winning. Extraction shooter is like just get better gear, I guess. And Marathon added Marathon has like abilities and like classes kind of with their characters, and I think that's also not, I don't like that. that's kind of like Apex Legends, but I think it's like an extraction shooter is very tactical. I think I heard Jack Bragg say this, but it's like because I played Tarkov and that's pretty much my extension of extraction shooters experience, but it's just tactical. It's like, it's very tactical. Adding in like abilities and now having to like think about the abilities, like when it's mostly about like gunplay and like strategy and like being tactical, I guess strategy. I don't know, it just adds in something that I feel like doesn't need to be in there. The game, which is currently under the project name Scout, is so heavily inspired by Respawn Entertainment's highly successful Apex Legends that it was once used as a thumbnail for the project. Holy shit. It's understood that the game has been in development for at least a couple of years and will feature very similar characters to Apex Legends. Yeah, yo, what's up? Literally, it's like not even trying. Apex Legends, including a spin on Pathfinder, Wrath, Lifeline, and other characters from the game. I just feel like it's too late. I don't know, and especially Ubisoft, it's like, yeah, I think it's too late because EA said that they are looking to redo like a Apex Legends 2.0 after some like game release or something. Because they need to update it. Like it's been around for like years now, and like it's pretty much the same game. Like, let's check. I always like to check Twitch just to see. Let's see like how many people are streaming it still. It's probably like up there number one, or top few at least. Did I miss it? Holy shit. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I mean, it's like top, like it's the top game. Minecraft's always up there. Yeah, interesting. Last Epoch. Never heard of that game. And also Tempest Rising. I have heard of this game. Oh, RTS. But okay. One source on the project. I think the goal is to capitalize on the player count of Apex dropping. And then Ubisoft higher ups thinking there's room in the market for another hero battle royale. Bro, that is that logic does not make sense. Maybe for Ubisoft it does, but interesting enough, the project seems to go against Ubisoft's own internal research team, who recently asked the question as to what's next after Battle Royale, while citing the decline in players across various Battle Royale games, including Apex Legends. Why the fuck are you making Battle Royale? I think even the extraction shooters are gonna it's like, I don't know, I just hate extraction shooters. EA itself has also admitted that Apex Legends is no longer doing what it needs to do financially for the company, with CEO Andrew Wilson saying the game will have a major update dubbed Apex Legends 2.0 in the future. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, even the EA themselves recognizes that they need to update Apex because it's just been the same game essentially for years, and it's kind of getting boring. As for whether EA can reinvigorate the franchise remains to be seen, but in Ubisoft's eyes at least, there's still room in the market for an Apex Legends style battle royale. Yeah. This isn't Ubisoft's first time in the Battle Royale market either. In 2020, they launched Hyperscape, pulling the plug on the project around 18 months after release. I don't even remember this. Hyperscape? I don't remember this. It's probably because, like, Ubisoft... Are Ubisoft games on Steam still? Right? Okay, yeah, they are. I feel like they're kind of in their own little world in a way. Battlecore Arena? Internally, Ubisoft has canceled around a dozen battle royales for one reason or another in various stages of development since then. To me, it seems like sunk cost fallacy. They're like, we already have, like, this is like the one that's worked out the best. Let's just release it. But like, it's just gonna be another flop. It seems like, especially if, like, they're using a game that EA admits is outdated. As for Ubisoft itself, the future is uncertain. Its announcement of a new subsidiary with Tencent still has players, developers, and investors worried and confused about the company's future. Why? Like, Tencent's invested in like every single large AAA game dev studio, so like, I don't know. This isn't really like. Earlier this month, Ubisoft stock fell to a 12-year low amid company uncertainty and fell a lot more harshly versus its competitors during the market crash. I guess like maybe just like them, like the company itself is doing shit. I mean, like, okay, like if we just take a look at it, new releases, Assassin's Creed, they have their Star Wars Outlaws game, but I guess like I don't know how like financially well it did. Probably not that well, I guess. They have Skull and Bones, which was like, they took way too long to make it. And it's just like licensed games that like, they might make money from these. Like, okay, Anno. Like, I guess these are more like publishing. They have Far Cry, Watch Dogs, Ghost Recon, but they have The Division. All of these, though, I feel like they're kind of just like, people are getting like bored of them. You know, it's like they're copying, pasting, changing the theme a little bit. But like, that's about it. I don't know. Trackmania is huge still. Did my mouse sensitivity change? Yep, it did. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Okay, let's look at this. Is there an Oblivion remaster coming out? Jeff Grubb corroborated the claim that Oblivion will shadow drop next week after April 21. He said, let's update on it, Oblivion, in the next shadow drop, the week of April 21. So basically, the last week of the month. Next week, essentially, I've got a separate confirmation that this is going to be the case. So they're releasing an Oblivion remake. Is there an Oblivion modding scene? A little one. Like there's only, I mean, nothing compared to Skyrim, but maybe this will like. I wonder if Ubisoft releases like a remastered one, if that would kickstart like a modding scene. How does Oblivion compare to like Skyrim, or have you? Is Oblivion wonder like how big is the world actually? The Oblivion graphics sometimes are. Oblivion's a pre-Skyrim, or like story-wise, it's like pre-Skyrim. I feel like I just remember reading like something has like, or like an older game has like such a bigger map. Wait, what is this game? What is this? Has the biggest world map? I guess maybe Oblivion then does have a bigger one. I don't know why I'm just like fixated on that, but Interesting. Happening in the game dev world. I'm pretty much out of I don't feel like talking about news anymore, I guess. Or other news. This is the other story I was gonna cover, but I've been talking about too much about AI. There's just been a lot of AI news. It's like definitely driving the news cycle, but a lot of it's just like not that crazy news, I guess. Oh yeah, wasn't there like a Mario Kart Direct today or some shit? Oh yeah, 6 a.m. You're so oversaturated, yeah. Yeah, agreed. Any political views? Yeah. I know I've been actually covering politics a lot this week just because there's with all the chip stuff. Give Beard a hug, yeah. Yeah. Seriously. I wonder when Vicky's going on a work trip in like June, and I want to like do like a challenge or something. I want to do like some like game challenge or like something for like the week she's gone on stream. But I don't know what. It's like maybe I could play Oblivion or Skyrim, but Okay, what's other game and news? There's like all the games that I am excited for aren't coming out anytime soon. Complete a game. Yeah, perpetual stream. Yeah, I was thinking about like a 24 like streamathon type of thing. Oh, Dune Awakening's delayed? I was considering playing Dune Awakening. This game, okay, it's June 5th or June 10th. Okay, that's the week I think she's gone. I wasn't even gonna get this, but this was one I was considering like just like no lifing for like a week. Like I just want to no life a game, I guess, for like a week on stream. Initiate a major preview beta where hundreds of journalists and content creators are playing the early parts of the game, and it will be released their coverage on April 25th. As such, we'll be moving the release of Dune Awakening to June 10th with Head Start launching on June 5th. Dang. I mean, it's like a week, I guess. RuneScape's easy game to stream to horrors before you watch. I could not. I mean, a little too boring, I guess. I did think about RuneScape. I need something more engaging. PC Gamer up. What's this? I see Cyberpunk. We called it first Cyberpunk setting cooler than Night City, and now the studio behind the Ascent is making the kind of game that every developer wants to work on. Details are sparse, but Neon Giant says its next game is ludicrously ambitious, first person, and focuses on player agency and creativity. Oh. Who is this? Neon Giant? The Ascent. Cyber Heist. I've heard of The Ascent. I've never... Guess I've never looked into it. I could quest for 24 hours straight easy. That just seems like work, if I'm being honest. Oh, it's this game. It's like action RPG. Game seems cool. Wow, so making a new Cyberpunk game? Got a lot of nice things to say about top-down co-op shooters. The Ascent back in 2021, former PC Gamer editor Andy Kelly awarded it an enthusiastic 84% and called its cyberpunk setting way cooler than Night City. Now Swedish developer Neon Games is teasing its next game, but is not giving as much. It'll be first person, it's big on player agency, a handful of screenshots, teased the new world clogged with old school tech, and the whole mysterious thing is ludicrously ambitious. Okay. Looks like it could take place in like Asia. That's what it reminds me of. This is an interesting screenshot. Okay, well, it looks like they got acquired. Following the success of The Ascent, Neon Giant could have asked for nearly anything from the investor that came courting. Creative director and studio co-founder Arcade Berg told PC Gamer last week, which also included fellow Neon Giant creative director and co-founder Tor Frick. Bro, what a cool name. First name and last name. You'd like terrific. Frick. They could have gone on a hiring spree, and that was still the thing to do in 2021, just before the games industry began wrenching contraction. But Berg and Frick and others founders had started Neon Giant because they wanted out of the AAA scene. So despite selling the company to South Korean giant Krafton, the publisher behind PUBG and Inzoi, oh wow, Neon Giant's founders have kept it small. So they're owned by Krafton then, though? The team is just over 20 people. Wow. Why sell at all? We didn't start a studio to run a studio. We started Neon Giant because we wanted to make games in a certain way. The co-founder continued, that's the only thing that's really important to us. So we said, well, you know what? Why not? Why find someone to work with so we can get the rocket fuel that we need, cash, and even more ambitious, and also feel that we have some stability. We can have the courage and afford to take risks, creative risks, project risks, because we think will lead to a frankly cooler project in the end. The condition of the acquisition was that Neon Giant wasn't going to become a support studio or take assignments. It had to be free to make its own games with its small staff where everyone contributes to the creative vision. Sounds cool though. And I'm surprised that like Krafton was like, all right, cool, like yeah, that's fine. With a small staff where everyone contributes to creative vision, sounding a little like Valve Employee Handbook, which promises a flat structure, a subject of some debate. Frick explained the studio's approach to game development. Studios really want to be very involved in the creative and technical aspects, he said. You need to be a problem solver. If we're going to make a game, you need to get dirty. We don't really have managers, right? Everyone here, even if they have managers in a previous studio in AAA, like when you're here, you need to solve problems, build a game. Okay, yeah. I failed to extract any precise details about Neon Giant's upcoming game from the pair of creative directors, but they did give us a few hints. Studios focus on building a believable, reactive world that's more grounded than the Ascent cyberpunk metropolis, and player agency and creativity. So more grounded maybe means it's more like real life or more near future maybe. Berg also mentioned that it's the kind of game that every developer wants to work on. Sounds to me like we're in the immersive sim realm. Yeah. I mean, if it's reactive, like it sounds like immersive sim, like. Cool. Sounds interesting. Alright, that's gonna do it for the stream today. Done a lot of AI stuff. That'll do it today. Likely no stream tomorrow. And I'll be back Monday. And next week, we're just going to be streaming Monday and Tuesday. No stream Wednesday, Thursday. But we'll be back the next Monday. The 28th. So 2 days off next week. Cool. All right. Appreciate everyone showing up, hanging out. I'm not BRB. We'll be back Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific. See ya.